Hello once again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another review from Sci Gaming. As always, I am your host, Sci, and let's get to it. The end of 2012 marked a great time for multiplayer shooters, not because the latest Call of Duty was released, which in all honesty was a bit of a downer on the great feeling that came slightly later that month. What I'm talking about here is Planetside 2. Back in the day, I played the absolute hell out of the first Planetside, and I remember those days with the goggles so rose-tinted that they were almost too opaque to see through. So, obviously enough, with the announcement of Planetside 2, the world, especially myself, got to collectively shit our pants with how awesome the future looked. Then, we all noticed who was making the game. Sony Online Entertainment, which I'll be calling SOE from now on, is back at the helm. A collective breath was taken, mostly because of how poor some of SOE's recent titles have been. I'm looking at you, DC Universe. And to be honest, I kind of had some reservations. Thankfully, though, SOE surprised us all, and Planetside 2 is largely awesome. The concept is both wonderfully simple and incredibly complex. The game features three factions: the New Conglomerate, the Terran Republic, and the Vanu Sovereignty. The player creates a soldier for one of those factions and is then thrown into the never-ending conflict for control of Araxis, a distant planet rich with resources that each faction wishes to control for themselves. Each faction has its own unique look, weapons, and vehicles. The New Conglomerate is largely focused on slower, hard-hitting weapons that are a combination of traditional firearms and newer technology. The Vanu Sovereignty, the most technology-focused faction, focuses on accuracy and has the most advanced technology, featuring many weapons that hurl scary amounts of plasma downrange. The final faction, the Terran Republic, is closest to the traditional military equipment we know, which focuses on fire rate and retains more traditional ballistics rather than stepping out of the box. This gives each empire a very unique feel and a very unique arsenal. Having played the game for several months now, at no point has the gunplay felt too similar across any of the three factions. With each focus, the game allows players to select which type of weapon feels the most natural, and, of course, this led me to playing NC, who are obviously the best faction. Naturally, just being able to have cool weapons and shoot each other wouldn't make it much of a Planetside game. The world of Planetside 2 is massive. Araxis currently features 3 continents: Indar, Esamir, and Amerish, all which focus on different styles of combat. Indar, a desert continent, provides a great blend of armor, air, and infantry combat. Esamir, the ice continent, is largely open and flat, providing a great field of combat for more armor-focused battles. Amerish, my personal favorite, is a mountainous and lush grassland-filled area, and serves as an open field in the fight for air superiority. The goal on all 3 of these continents is domination. Each is broken into hexes with bases spread all around, providing focal points for combat. With the recent introduction of the lattice system, combat is focused through these lattice links between bases, which brings around some pretty awesome battles. And the epic battles are exactly that. Epic. Beyond imagination. Huge battles at larger facilities or even in the middle of nowhere are a pleasure to behold. Bullets and plasma whiz to and fro, explosions send sparks showering down on infantry, tanks exchange rounds in the front lines, and aircraft scream by, peppering the ground with machine gun fire, and other aircraft with rockets. The tension is palpable, every magazine counts, and every kill feels good. Oh yeah, and there are classes in the progression system. There are 5 classes to choose from in the game, all with wildly different playstyles. The Infiltrator is a stealth class that focuses on long-range encounters on one end of the spectrum, while the Light Assault class focuses on mobility through use of a jetpack and close-quarters weapons on the other end. And, of course, everything in between has a role. Medics can revive fallen comrades, engineers can repair armored units and drop manable turrets, and the Heavy Assault class can dish out a lot of ammo quickly and take a ton of damage using their shield ability. This class diversity creates a huge array of opportunities for cool and unique gameplay experiences, both through the possible use of the class by the player themselves, as well as the strategies that have to be adopted to counter other players playing the other classes that are tossing metal slugs of pain at your face from the other end. Progress is made by earning certification points, which are earned by taking part in operations and killing stuff that is not your faction. Certifications are used to buy new weapons, armor upgrades, and utility items to augment your character in the field. Utilities range from bricks of C4 to self-injected healing syringes that will heal your character over time. Now, weapons can also be gotten using Station Cash, Sony's digital currency. However, there are no weapons in the game that are only unlockable using Station Cash. This is kind of where the problems start rearing their ugly heads. Certification points, if you are not a subscribed member, are gained at an almost melodramatically slow rate. Unfortunately, the rate is not offset by low costs, as most upgrades that are worth getting will cost upwards of 500 to 1,000 certification points. With a subscriber account and a purchase boost to experience, it can take anywhere from 8 to 10 hours to unlock a single weapon. Now, imagine how long that will take without any paid boost or subscriptions. The slow rate of gain, plus the irrationally high cost of upgrades, makes the game feel, at times, like more of a grind to catch up to the more experienced players than an even fight between opposing forces. Now, the second issue I have run into the game is the use of armor. I've always preferred that armor and tanks serve as an augmentation of infantry combat and not the center focus. Unfortunately, despite some of the continents being designed in such a way as to try and switch the focus to other forms of combat, tank battles remain all too prevalent. Far too often an even fight will turn in the favor of the faction with a tech plant closer to the conflict zone, and will end when the side with the most tanks pummels everything within a 6-mile radius to dust with tank shells. The issue is further compounded by the fact that, even with upgraded flak armor, which increases explosive damage resistance, tank shells still generally kill you in one hit, and if not in one hit, then they will open up your shields and allow infantrymen or other tanks to quickly dispatch what little is left of your charred shrapnel-ridden body. Thankfully, these issues only occur if you manage to make it into a decently sized battle, which at times can be difficult. This is because of the populations of each faction being skewed on each server. Generally, one faction controls most of a server simply because they have the most population. There are plenty of times on Waterson, the server that I currently reside on, that the population on 2 of the 3 continents remains at 70% TR, while the other 2 factions hover around 15% of total population. Instant action drops can put you into zones that are barely contested, and even at times drop you into combat between the other 2 factions, with little to no friendly forces in the area. The minor frustrations can really begin to bother you after long extended periods of play. This is especially true if you're outnumbered. Even then, the intense action-packed world of Planetside 2 deserves to be commended. Nothing feels quite as great as pushing back a large assault on a biodome or conducting small-scale operations behind enemy lines that assists in friendly forces defending an area. Not to mention the game is free to play. With outstanding visuals, great gunplay, and generally fun to participate in large-scale conflict, Planetside 2 is certainly worth trying, despite the smaller frustrations like grindy progression and tank spam. As such, Planetside 2 from Sony Online Entertainment gets a tank shell out of 10.